Okay, guys, good evening. Welcome to TOMA Sessions Live with Richie Cruz. For now, I'd like to do some shout outs first to all the viewers out with us now. So, Hospitality Problems, shout out. Ricky Sala, Skyim Chevin from Mindanao, Dora Hernandez, Cyrene from Singapore, Tipan Yang, regards to Chef Rob, Hernandez, Eman, Peter Gabriel. Okay, shout out. Who else is here? Okay, anyway, while we're waiting for our guest, it's really a fun week. We started for those who actually just joined us. So TOMA Sessions is actually a platform that I made when the ECQ started. Our main objective is to inspire and inform bartenders and aspiring bartenders here in the Philippines with the help of our bartender friends across the globe. And it has been a very overwhelming response, and I really appreciate our friends for taking time to do this TOMA Sessions with us. So today, I see our guest already here. Today, our guest actually had a hectic schedule. Okay, he actually just finished his guesting also in the other part of the world. So grab your pens and papers. So if you have a question for him, let me just. So if you have any questions for him, feel free to comment, and then we'll ask him on the latter part of the program. There he is.
What's up, people? How are you doing?
Yeah, man. So to introduce our guest, just in the time of Nick, as I told him. So he was fresh from another guesting in Dubai. I was just chatting with Rebecca, actually, and you see this guy, this very very familiar figure in the social media. The other half of Cocktails for You, as you know him. But now he has an independent platform or program going on called the Indie Bartender, which we will find out in a few minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Danil Nevsky. Woo!
Hello.
All right, man. Welcome. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Everybody was actually chatting. Sir. Well, let's start. Yeah. Don't worry. He's in the other part of the world somewhere. So, yeah, it's a tricky time difference, really. So, I mean, I saw it's good that you and all the bartenders across the globe are pretty much. Your other half is here. Eddie, welcome. Welcome to TOMA
Can I
Sessions.
interrupt for 1 second? So I would like to take this opportunity to wish Eddie, This Is My Life, a merry happy birthday. Today is his birthday. He is 1 year older, 1 year wiser, and 1 year more of opening champagne.
Yay!
Also,
Nice.
cocktails for you.
Happy birthday to you. I have a cocktail here. Okay, so all right, so let's start. So Danil, can you tell us something about yourself? How does your career? How long have you been in the bartending business?
Of course. I am 30 years old as of this year. I feel worse because I'm a fat, unhealthy man. I started bartending at the age of 18, which was the legal age in Scotland, and I essentially finished bartending full time in 2017, I guess, 2016 September. So I was bartending 18 till I was 27. So almost 9 years full-time bartending.
Okay.
Before I was a bartender, I was a waiter for three
Okay.
years, roughly. And after that, I was a professional taster of champagne with Eddie for
Nice,
three
nice,
years.
nice.
That was my official title.
Okay. Okay. So you were okay. So when did you officially okay for do you okay you worked as a bartender for 9 years, right? So
Yes.
what are those bars? Is that just one bar for 9 years, or have you worked in different bars?
No, no, no. So I started my job in a bar in Scotland called Soul. It was in a bar that was in an old church. So for anyone who's religious, I'm very sorry. The bar was called Soul. It was a church that was refurbished into a bar. 14 stations, one, two, three
Mm.
cocktail stations. It was a discount TGI Fridays Hard Rock Cafe, and I was there as a bar back for about a week, and then I became a bartender. Then I moved on working in a club and a bar and restaurant. Then I joined what is my first 100% cocktail bar, like dedicated cocktail bar called Orchid in Aberdeen, Scotland. That it was my first like major cocktail bar. It wasn't my first cocktail experience because I've been making cocktails from the day one, but it was the one where I guess, my dream is a double glass pieces Boston shaker. But that's the deal. And
Okay.
Orchid has produced some of the best bartenders in the UK. To give you an example, Alex Lawrence is probably one of the most famous. He was a colleague of mine in Orchid, and he is now the head of F&B for Dandelion, Silver Lion, the
Okay.
Lions.
The
Um,
Lion
I,
Group. Okay.
and a lot of Orchid bartenders go then to work for him. So he's hired a lot of. So it's like a chain. It's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, and so that's pretty cool. Then I left Scotland. I moved to Netherlands, to Amsterdam, and I was there for 3 years working in a bar called Tales and Spirits, which was a newly opened bar. I was the first part of the first sort of team, the OG. I stayed there for 3 years, and by the end of my 3 years, we were the 18th best bar in the world.
Woohoo! Nice, nice,
So
nice.
we did well. We went from zero to hero. Then I met Eddie at a cocktail competition in Turin, and then I left the bar. I went traveling for 16 months, and then me and him joined forces. Cocktails for You, and that was for 3 years. During that time, I was homeless for 12 months, and then I settled down in Barcelona. During my Cocktails for You time, we opened a bar in Amsterdam called the Jitterbug Saloon. I was a
Yeah.
co-owner for like 2 months. Then I left that because I couldn't do Cocktails for You in a bar at the same time. It was
Yeah,
much, much
yeah,
more
it's quite tough.
difficult than I expected. And I also worked for 7 months at Two Schmucks in
Yeah.
Barcelona as
Yeah.
I was more of a waiter. And for me, it was just to see if I'm still good enough to work behind the bar. To do I still have that magic touch? But
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
that was part time, and I'm glad to say I do. I still have that magic touch. I can if I say so myself.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe for the basic question, why did you pursue bartending?
Um,
in this career.
okay, so I would say that it's better to go back to why did I end up in hospitality? Because I was a waiter first. I started working in a four-star hotel next to my house in Scotland because I had no friends. Because
Oh.
we moved from London to Scotland when I was 15. I had no friends. Like I'm a young guy. There was a moment, a young guy. I want to meet girls. I want to have someone to hang out with. I got nobody. So I got a job as a waiter for Scottish weddings. And if you
Okay.
know Scotland, everyone wears a skirt. So
Yeah, the
it's,
kilt.
you know,
Hmm.
but we're making fun, right? So
Okay, yeah.
the toilets are both skirts, so you don't know what's going on. I'm
Okay,
joking.
okay.
That's not true.
All right, all right,
That's
all
not true.
right.
But basically, so I did that for 3 years, and while I was a waiter, there was occasionally brand ambassadors coming in, and they were doing Scotch training. And our bar
Okay.
manager, and Scotland is a little bit more loose than most countries. So if you can try alcohol at a much younger age. So
Mm.
for example, when I was a waiter in this hotel, brand ambassador would come, they would do training, and then the bar manager would say, guys, if you just polish some cutlery at the back, you can try some whiskey at the end. As a 16-year-old kid, you're like, yes, I'm getting some nice scotch, I'm getting alcohol, I can't buy it, whatever. And so I started doing that. Then with the weddings were on like a Friday or a Saturday, so it didn't collapse, my work was not in the way of my school. I would bar
Mm-hmm.
back. I would clean glasses, and then I would be like, "Oh, cool! The bartender is like having so much fun. He's meeting all these girls and stuff. Like, I want to do that." So when I
Mm-hmm.
moved to the city and I went to university, I went to the to the busiest bar in town, and I was like, "I want a
Mm-hmm.
job. I want to be a bartender because I could be legally a bartender at that point."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's it. That's how it worked. That's how it happened. And
Uh,
yeah, I had experience. I had already 3 years of bar backing experience. At the age of 18, you're getting a job. You, sir, are
nice,
getting a
nice,
job.
nice.
Didn't get laid though.
Okay. At that time, at that time. Okay. All right. So during those 9 years, right? Why did you decide to go? Okay, when did this stint of being a traveling bartender happen? From what
Okay,
timeline?
okay, cool. So for those people who don't know, I was born in Russia in Eastern Europe, and for some reason my parents hate me. We kept moving house every like 3 or 4 or 5 years. And so I've always been a gypsy. I've never stayed in a place for too long. And so when I was working in Amsterdam, there was a moment where I was like getting bored of working in the same
How?
getting bored of working in the same place. Your morale
Mm-hmm.
goes down. Even if you're like the world's 50 best bar or some bullshit like that, you get tired. It's like working in an office. It's just a bit more
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah.
And so I was asked to come up with an idea of how can we help all the staff, because the team were always the same. Nobody changed. How can we help the staff keep motivation high? And I came up with this idea of like a bartender exchange project. Like this was
Yeah.
2014. So this was 6 years
Mm.
ago. And so I said, why don't we change with a bartender from a different country? We exchange bartenders. They come and live in Amsterdam for 2 months. This person goes and lives there for 2 months. They take each other's positions. We learn from this person. Our guy learns from their country, and then we
Mm-hmm.
swap back. And then the
Mm-hmm.
bartenders get some experience from far away. It's good PR. They learn some shit. It's very cool.
Yep.
Unfortunately, at the time, the people in charge of the owners of the bar, they were like, "This is cool, but this is very difficult logistically. You
Yes.
know, it's not
Paperworks. A
so
lot of paperworks, right?
well. It's that, and it's
Not
also
really.
nobody wanted to do the work, right?
Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You
Yeah. It
know,
was
it's
2014, so it's new. It's a new concept before,
right.
probably.
Right? That was the idea. Dr. Maloney, that's my boy Eugene, from South Africa. He did something
Mm.
similar. There's a guy in Korea, in the Pussyfoot Saloon. They do these
Yeah.
bartender
Yeah. Yeah.
exchanges.
Nick, Bob Lewis, and Wendell. Yep. 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 I was there. I did
Bob
the shift
Bob
in
Bob Bob Louison
Bob
is
Lewison.
now
Yeah.
Bob Louison
In
is in the Shangri-La.
Lobster
He's
Bar.
in the Lobster Bar.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Faustus, his
Yeah.
is the new guy.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was the idea. they didn't go for it, and then I wanted to leave the bar anyway, so I left the bar and I started traveling, because the moment I left the bar, a lot of these people were like, come here, do a guest shift, do a seminar. And then I'd met Eddie, and Eddie was like, I'm the owner and founder of Cocktails for You. I was like, I have this idea. Instead of trying to bring the world to me, I'm going to go out into the world. What if I go and work for free? I do the exchange myself. And so I put all my money into that. 12 months, 12 countries, 12 bars. It was under the Cocktails for You umbrella. You know, I was promoting Cocktails for You. I was sharing the love, sharing our passion, and I traveled all over the world doing that. That was a lot. I even lost my appendix. I almost died. Jesus Christ!
Oh,
and I
wow.
got very
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah, well, nothing. Well, you got the life. But I mean, how does? Okay, you mentioned about guest shift then. So, how did that work for you? I mean, did you like just approach random bars, or do you already have a relationship with them to begin with, which made the process easier?
Well, okay. So when you work in a bar that maybe wins some awards, or maybe bear in mind, 6 years ago was a totally different world than 2020. You know, now, back
Yeah.
then, guest shifts were like special. Now everyone is doing a guest shift all the time. They sort of lost some of their magic. And back then it was like, whoa, there's a guy coming to town, cool. You know, even if you don't know who that person is, you were gonna come.
Yeah, just a rock star.
And
Yep.
yeah, this guy, who the fuck is this guy? He's a rock star. You know, I was speaking to the ambassador for Bombay in Russia, and he said
Okay.
that he wasn't a rock star. Nobody knew who he was. So he actually contacted 28 Hong Kong Street in Singapore, and he convinced them that he was a famous rock star guy or some shit like that. Flew himself to Singapore, did a guest shift, and when he came back home, everybody thought he was a rock star because he got a guest shift in Singapore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Exactly.
But
Okay.
in terms of in terms of guest shifts, I think they're gonna evolve. Guest shifts are gonna get pretty cool. I think that they now people are looking for more and more for guest shifts. So, what can you bring? Like Two Schmugs did videos with their guest shifts. Perfect. You know, how can we bring the most value out of it? A seminar, a guest shift, some training, something, right? So that's really cool. With Cocktails for You, we were doing content, you know, so really bringing something else to the table that is worthwhile. And so I think that's definitely the future, is the evolution of what a guest shift is. Like, for example, can you change the light? Can you change the sound? Can you bring a playlist? Can you change like, for example, the coolest takeover I've ever seen was during BCB, Babu Rum in Athens. They hired a bar for 5 days, and rebuilt their bar in Berlin. They brought their DJ, they brought their waiter, they brought the same wallpaper, they changed the wallpaper, so like they relocated their bar, and it was busy every single day because it was a cool idea.
Concept. Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a future, you know, those kind of things. And in terms of when you were working for a famous bar that has some awards, people started inviting you, but at the same time, if you want to approach somebody, it always helps to have a connection with them and knowing them. For example, that's why I encourage people to travel to bar shows or events, meet people, because if you know someone and you have a connection and personal, it's easier to invite them. Maybe you can then negotiate a guest shift between both bars or something along those lines. Who's going to pay for it? You know, and who's gonna do all that stuff? So if you want to invite somebody, get in touch. Also, if you're going to invite somebody through Instagram or through Facebook that you don't know, be prepared. You know, have the answers to all the questions they're going to ask.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
I you know, if you say, hey, I want to bring you over to my bar, yeah, that's great. Do you have a sponsor? Do you have money you're going to put in? Do you know when? Do you have an idea? The more prepared you are, the more likely it's going to go down well. I want to bring you over in August to do a guest shift. I have this amount of money. Because also, if you're honest with how much money you have, like I have 2,000 budget for flights, accommodation, and any fees. You know, and then the person can give you a straight answer. The more straight answer and honest you are, the
better. Yeah.
The better.
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, that's once upon a time, guest shift concept was pretty alien to me. In fact, the basic question of who pays for who, you know, or do I get paid or whatnot, right? But it really depends on the conversation between the bar and the bartender. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're buddies, there's no need really to stretch. I mean, you know, to give pay or whatever. You know, it's about relationship.
But at the same time, it's like, for example, if I've worked with a lot of my friends, and if I know a brand is willing to pay for it, and I'm like, cool, can we pay the bartender? And they're like, we have $500, we have $1,000. I'm like, that's fine. If I can get a brand to pay my friend for his work, why not? You know, why am I trying to save money for the brand if they have budget for this? Because they're just gonna go spend it on another guest shift. You know,
exactly.
Paying Simone Caporale to come and do a guest shift is a lot more expensive than someone from Kazakhstan. Right?
Okay. Yeah. By the way, where are you now? Which part of the world are you now?
I am in Barcelona, Spain. This is where I have lived for 2 years. I am now in my living room having a cup of coffee.
Nice. Is that by any chance near La Rambla?
Then you're like, you know, your image collapses.
Expectation versus reality.
Manage your expectations. So one of my heroes when I was younger, when I was 19, was actually one of my first bar supervisors, Rob. And he was amazing. He taught me a lot of things that I now respect more 10 years later than I respected back then. Because for example, on Sunday shifts in our bar, if you were the day bartender, he make you come in 30 minutes before your shift. And I was like, why? And the reason is because in the UK, the Sunday paper is bigger. All the sport, all the extra stuff is in it. Because people love reading the paper on a Sunday. And so he made you come in half an hour early. He made you a coffee the way you like it. You had a little breakfast, and you read the paper for 20 minutes. So that when all the regulars come in at noon, when you open, all the guys having their first pint of the day, you could talk to them about everything that you read in the paper. You could discuss with them the news. Even if you didn't like football or sport or theater, but you had something to talk about. You were knowledgeable about what's happening in your city and what's happening in the country. And that was very important because you'd get more, you know, like looking after your guests. So that was one of my first heroes. One of my other heroes is Remy Savage. He's a French bartender living in London. He's
Espresso
really
Martini guy, right? Espresso Martini. He did
a bunch of stuff.
Okay, yeah. I saw his video about the Espresso Martini. Oh, anyway,
But anyway, so he's wonderful. I like the way he's thinking. He thinks completely in